So let's say you bought yourself a ring, a really nice ring, and you try it on, but it's a little bit too tight. In fact, it's a lot too tight, and it gets stuck on your finger. I mean, really stuck on your finger to the point where your finger is really swollen. But now you got to get the thing off. So what are you going to do? Here's a neat technique using a string to be able to get the ring off of your finger. The next thing you want to do is take a little piece of tape and tape some string to the end of the finger. Any type of twine will do, and people have even done this with dental floss or the elastic band that comes on a respiratory mask. The next thing you want to do is begin to wrap the finger with the string. And the idea is to wrap the string as close together as you can. So you're really almost touching the string edges together as you work your way up the finger. The closer together you can get, the better. Now, there's no magic about starting distally and working proximally. If you want to start under the ring itself and going out, you can do that as well. But I usually find it a little bit easier to work it this way and keep it tight. I should note that this is incredibly painful, especially if your finger is swollen and tender. So for this patient, we actually put a metacarpal head block in. You can probably see a small puncture wound on the volar surface of the hand, just proximal to the ring itself, where we injected her with some lidocaine. Once you get the string wrapped all the way around the finger and down to the ring, the next trick is to pass the string underneath the ring itself, so you now have a piece of string sticking out on the proximal end of the ring and then the rest of the finger wrapped around the distal end. I prefer to use hemostats or a needle holder to kind of push the string underneath the ring. This seems to be the way that works the best for me, although other people have used forceps because they feel they're a little flatter and you can kind of push it through. Others have used a small probe to push it through. Either way, you have to get the string on the other side of the ring. I like the needle holders because sometimes it's a little bit tight to grab it and pull it out. But no matter how you do it, you got to wind up with the string coming underneath the ring and out towards their palm. Sometimes it gets a little bit frayed, but don't worry about that because you can cut the string back a little bit till you have an intact piece of string. Once you've trimmed this string and you have a nice strong piece of string to grab onto, and usually give yourself a good length to grab onto because sometimes you're going to have to pull pretty hard. Basically, the next thing to do is just pull the string. As you pull it, what you'll do is you'll get some length to it and you need to twirl it around the ring as you pull. Most of the time this will look like an impossible task and you're absolutely positive this is not going to work and the person doing this video is an idiot. That may be true, but the technique will actually work. You can see this person, the ring is really tight and she's actually getting a little bit of an abrasion to her skin, but the ring is slowly moving up. Persistence is the key. Just slowly keep pulling the string, twirling it around the ring, and the finger will stay on, honest, and the ring will slowly move its way up the finger, ultimately to come off. Don't be frightened by how fat it looks like the finger's getting. And if the tips turns a little bit blue, don't worry, eventually it will turn back to pink. There will come a moment where it's kind of aha, the ring makes it past the really tight spot and comes off, and then you can just kind of pull the string off the rest of the way. And there's the aha moment. As I said, this is painful and a digital block helps. I have a nephew whose wife got a ring stuck on her finger and we took it off with some butcher's twine in the kitchen without any anesthesia. They don't talk to me much anymore. At any rate, nice technique to get a ring off without having to cut it.